This is the game that killed the Saints Row franchise due to its horrendous reviews and lackluster sales. Even die-hard Saints Row fans hated this game. Since release, a lot has changed, and there has been a good amount of DLCs and updates since. But does it make Saints Row worth playing in 2024? This video might surprise you. As you might know, on this channel, I give my honest opinions and couldn't give a dog's ass about hate comments, regardless of how controversial my thoughts could potentially be. I prefer to be straight up as possible, so let's get straight into this. Updates. Since release, what updates and DLC have been added? One thing I'll give massive credit for, a lot of the updates were free for all players. So when you load the game up, you'll notice that the map is slightly bigger than before, with new districts and areas to explore, which you don't need to pay for. Unfortunately, when you do visit these new areas, they are quite lackluster and are annoyingly out of the way. Literally, it feels like you got to drive for about 8 hours until you reach the new area, unless you blare it in the jet. And the roads you travel on to visit these new areas are so lifeless and empty. So I don't know why they made them so out the way. So there is new side missions and things to do within these new districts, but they really aren't too exciting, and essentially have no enterable buildings and become kind of pointless to travel to, and they are basically as useful as a nun's tits. I do appreciate the effort here to try and expand the map and give players more things to do without needing to pay anything, but it does fall short and doesn't feel any more exciting than the base game, which was pretty much as enjoyable as cleaning the never-ending dust off your damn gaming setup every 2 minutes of the day. Jesus Christ. In terms of paid DLC, the one expansion I sort of enjoyed was the Murder Circus, but due to the game's easy as hell enemies, it got boring real quick. All you do is fight a bunch of enemies, claim a prize, twat another bunch, claim a prize, etc. It's pretty repetitive. Apart from that, the DLCs do come with a good amount of stuff, like new weapons, vehicles, story missions, etc. And they are very cheap to buy, so that is one good thing. I just wasn't too impressed with it overall. Graphics and setting. This game got a lot of hate for looking like an Xbox 360 game when it first released. I did sort of agree, although I always felt like the open world actually didn't look too bad. It was just the character models that seriously let this game down, and that pussy at the start of the game looked seriously arse. What I will say, playing this game again, but on PC, graphically, it actually looked quite a lot better. But I also think this is because I went from playing at 1440p on PS5 to playing at 4K on my PC. Nonetheless, it's not a bad looking game by any means, and for those tearing it apart because of the visuals, they really need to focus on the bigger problems this game has. Gameplay. For me, this is where it becomes painfully average or slightly below, depending on how high your standards are. Driving literally feels like it hasn't been touched since Saints Row 4. I mean, I'm fine with the arcade style, but Jesus, the cars feel so slow. It feels exactly like the old Saints Row games, where cars would literally cap out at 70 miles per hour and not drive any faster. They also sound utter dog shit, and seem to only have 4 gears. They basically sound like some old bastard who's cacked their pants so hard they can't even be asked to shift up a gear. You'd think the driving would have improved since the old games, when in fact, it feels worse due to the map being bigger, so cars feel even slower. One thing I do like is the animation when entering cars, and laying on top of them as well, but it's annoying as hell at the same time. If I got a quid every time I accidentally held the Y button for too long, causing my character to lay on the roof like some sort of bellend instead of getting out of the bastard car, I'd still be broke, but would at least be able to spend some money on things like matter, like shark cards, you know what I mean? God, this is so damn annoying. In terms of gunplay, is it just me, but this game reminds me of Fortnite? I swear I've never seen anyone else mention this, but it's just the way the game looks and feels as soon as you whip out a gun. Don't get me wrong, the gunplay is fine, but it's nothing special, and it never really feels satisfying killing enemies. The weird ass abilities are kind of fun, but really don't make any sense. I do get this is Saints Row. I've been playing these games for for years. But there was a reason for doing crazy shit like this in the last game. Don't forget, we had superpowers in the last one, and there was that alien freak called Zintax or some bollocks, who was the supervillain. In this game, you aren't a superhero, but can somehow fire fist enemies up the skid-marked arse. The issue I've got with combat in general is just how damn easy it is to wipe out enemies, and how lackluster it feels. At least now, there are some weird-ass guns to use, but the excitement doesn't really last very long. Bring back the purple dildos. What Saints Row does well is the customization, although this isn't new anymore. Don't get me wrong, it's still cool being able to really customize every little detail on your character, and also being able to download other creations. But the voice acting is beyond hideous. You gotta be prepared for that. I'd rather listen to that monotone Pratt Sarah in Starfield than have to listen to this utter bollocks.
Goat balls. Cow balls. Big, giant, sweaty horse balls.
These games are known for their insane customization, but unfortunately, even this doesn't stand out too much, as other games have caught up and have even surpassed Saints Row, so it doesn't really feel new. And I think this is why Saints Row was such a letdown on release. It was successful back in the day because it was the complete opposite to GTA 4 at the time, with its over-the-top missions and insane customization that GTA 4 just didn't have. And there wasn't really much other competition in the open world genre. But as the years rolled on, GTA 5 and similar games came along with expanded customization and crazy missions. So once this game did finally release, it really just didn't have anything unique to offer, and it almost feels stuck in the past. It just needs to have that differing, unique aspect that sets it apart, instead of doing what the old games did, but worse and toned down, and just hoping it will still do well amongst the games available today, which it obviously didn't. The open world. So does the open world feel alive, and is it fun to explore? A game like this isn't trying to achieve realism, that's obvious, but all open world games need to give you a reason to explore. Sadly, Saints Row doesn't really do this. The side missions planted across the map are very basic and feel virtually the same every single time, and escaping the cops feels unnaturally easy in this game. After you kill enough of them, they just piss off home and leave you to it. Bit of a weird system, but it doesn't really become a problem until you reach the end of the game where you have OP weapons and abilities. The cops just seem far too easy to escape from, so it never feels like there is any consequences if you twat some old saggy-titted hag in the street. At least, the open world looks half decent for a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, but the lack of enterable buildings and no need to explore makes it quite lifeless and dull. So here we go. Should you play Saints Row in 2024? I really hate to say this, but the honest answer is no. It would be very hard for me to say this game is worth revisiting or playing for the first time in 2024. To its credit, the free updates and cheap DLC might be enticing at first glance, but it really isn't worth your time with all things considered. The gameplay just feels so dull, with very little innovation compared to previous Saints Row games. It's a massive shame that this will be the last game in the franchise. It would have been great to see it end on a high. As always, comment down below your honest thoughts on Saints Row. I would love to know. And if you would like to find out whether Dead Island 2 is worth playing in 2024 after many updates and DLC, make sure to click the card on screen. You don't want to miss this video. It's my honest thoughts as always, and it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you guys for watching as always, and have a great rest of your day.